The shocking truth about Baba Vanga's red sky prophecy in 2025. When the sky turns red, the world will not end, but it will never be the same again. Have you ever stared into the horizon and felt that something was out of place? Imagine a sky, not glowing with sunset colors, not blurred by pollution, but stained in a deep, unnatural red, stretching endlessly above us. Not a beautiful illusion, but a chilling omen. What if that vision wasn't just metaphorical, but a warning from a woman who saw the future without eyes? In a small village lost to time, a blind mystic named Baba Vanga spoke of such a sky. One that would arrive not in centuries, but in the year 2025. A sky that signals not just change, but a point of no return. Today, on The Journey of Wisdom, we explore the red sky prophecy, a vision wrapped in mystery, fear, and startling accuracy. Could it be the Earth's final warning? A cosmic shift? A human-made disaster? Or something far more profound? Before we step into this ancient vision and unravel what it may truly mean for our future, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because once we open this door, there's no unseeing what lies ahead. So, are you ready to walk the path of the blind seer and discover what the red sky in 2025 might really mean? Number 1. Who was Baba Vanga? Baba Vanga's life began in obscurity, yet somehow echoed with a quiet, haunting power from the very start. She was born in 1911 in the small village of Strumica, a forgotten outpost still lingering under the fading shadow of the Ottoman Empire. Her family was poor, her upbringing humble, and by all accounts there was nothing to suggest she would one day become a figure that kings, generals, and mystics would revere. But fate, it seems, had other plans. Her transformation began with tragedy. As a young girl, she was caught in a violent dust storm, so fierce and blinding that it physically lifted her from the ground and threw her into a nearby field. When she was found days later, her eyes were sealed shut with dirt and debris. Despite every attempt to save her vision, she went blind. But in the darkness that followed, something else awakened. While her eyes no longer worked, something within her seemed to open. Something far stranger and infinitely more mysterious. People close to her began to notice peculiar things. She would speak names she shouldn't have known. She'd murmur cryptic warnings, whisper secrets of pregnancies before they were announced, deaths before they occurred, and conflicts before a single shot was fired. Her words were never straightforward. They came as riddles, layered phrases, and dreamlike metaphors. But time and time again, they came true. As the years passed, Baba Vanga's reputation spread beyond her village and beyond her nation. People traveled from all across Eastern Europe and eventually the world to seek her guidance. She wasn't a fortune teller in the traditional sense. She didn't read palms or cards. She sat quietly, her presence humble, and simply listened. And then she would speak, not about probabilities or guesses, but with startling confidence, as if she were tuning into a frequency no one else could hear. When asked how she knew these things, Baba Vanga always offered the same quiet explanation. She didn't see the future. She heard it. She claimed the voices came from the wind, from the ground beneath her feet, from the stars above. It was as though the universe whispered to her in ways science could never measure. She became known as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, but many who met her believed she was something more, something entirely her own. Her story is not just one of prophecy, but of resilience, of awakening, and of the extraordinary rising from the ordinary. In a world drowning in noise, she listened, and what she heard continues to echo into our present day, especially in what she foresaw for the year 2025. Number 2. The Red Sky Prophecy. Among the many cryptic warnings Baba Vanga shared throughout her life, none strikes a deeper, more chilling chord than what has come to be known as the Red Sky Prophecy. It wasn't wrapped in complex symbols or esoteric metaphors. It was frighteningly simple, and yet within that simplicity lies a thunderous weight. In the year of the 5, the skies will bleed. Mankind will see the fire overhead, and the world will tremble. Many will see it as the end. Others will see it as the beginning. This message, whispered long ago by a blind woman in a forgotten village, has since echoed through time, gaining traction and urgency as we approach the year 2025. The phrase "Year of the 5" has drawn particular attention. Some interpreters believe it clearly refers to 2025, the numerical sum of which 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9, a number tied to endings and spiritual transitions in Balkan and Slavic folklore. More intriguingly, it's 5 years into a new decade, a symbolic period often associated with upheaval and transformation. Could it be that she was pointing not just to a moment in time, but to a pivot in history? What, then, does it mean for the skies to bleed? For some, the vision conjures the unmistakable image of war, a war unlike any before, perhaps global in scale, catastrophic in its destruction. A sky filled not with clouds but with fire, ash, and fallout. Could it be a conflict so devastating that the very heavens reflect our chaos below? The line, "fire overhead," haunts modern minds with visions of missile trails, nuclear flashes, and the eerie glow of explosions that blot out the sun. Others believe it's not war but the wrath of the cosmos, a solar flare, massive, unexpected, and powerful, lashing out at Earth. Scientists have long warned that the sun is capable of releasing coronal mass ejections, CMEs, strong enough to cripple satellites, destroy power grids, and turn the sky into a canvas of red and orange plasma. Could Baba Vanga have foreseen this fiery solar event? An eruption from our own star, igniting the skies in a surreal display? Then there are those who look even higher. Some believe she was speaking of a cosmic alignment, a rare astronomical phenomenon, perhaps even a celestial body or anomaly approaching Earth. What if the fire overhead isn't metaphorical at all, but the visual manifestation of something breaching our atmosphere? A comet? A foreign object? Something humanity has never seen? And yet a more unsettling interpretation remains on the fringe, but it's growing louder in recent years. What if Baba Vanga's vision had nothing to do with natural disasters or human warfare, but something else entirely? What if it's about first contact? Those who study ancient astronaut theory point to historical texts, scriptures, and oral traditions describing flaming chariots in the sky, wheels of fire, and beings descending from the stars. These weren't metaphors, they argue. They were literal. In that context, the skies will bleed may not signal destruction, but a rupture between dimensions, an opening in the veil that separates us from another intelligence. If something were to arrive, something unknown, not human, would it be our salvation or our reckoning? Whether war, solar wrath, cosmic shift, or alien arrival, the red sky prophecy lingers like smoke before fire. dense, cryptic, and suffocatingly real. And what makes it even more unsettling is that Baba Vanga never said it was a guaranteed fate. She offered no instructions, no map, only a vision, and it's up to us to decide, was it a warning of doom or a doorway into something greater? Number 3. Possible explanations for a red sky. 1. Natural causes of a red sky. Before diving into the realms of prophecy, mysticism, or cosmic unknowns, it's important to ground ourselves in science. Throughout history, the skies have turned red for reasons that are entirely explainable, at least from a natural perspective. In fact, the terrifying image of a blood-red sky might not require a supernatural explanation at all. Nature, in its raw power and unpredictability, has given us clues that Baba Vanga's vision could very well be rooted in real-world phenomena already visible in our past and perhaps looming in our near future. One of the most discussed and scientifically grounded theories involves the sun, our closest star and a force we often take for granted. NASA and space weather experts have long warned that Earth is overdue for a major solar event. These solar flares, or CMEs, are massive bursts of plasma and magnetic energy ejected from the surface of the sun, capable of traveling millions of miles through space. When they collide with Earth's magnetic field, they can ignite dazzling auroras and, in extreme cases, wreak havoc on our planet's infrastructure. The last major event of this scale was the Carrington event in 1859, which knocked out telegraph systems and lit up the night sky in blood-red hues across parts of the globe. If a storm of that magnitude, or worse, were to strike today, the results would be catastrophic. Global blackouts, destroyed satellites, communication failures, GPS disruption, and, yes, skies bathed in glowing, fiery colors that would seem biblical in nature. Is this the fire Baba Vanga warned us about? Another very real explanation lies in the devastation caused by Earth itself, through massive wildfires and volcanic eruptions. When either of these events occurs on a large scale, they release billions of particles, soot, ash, sulfur, into the atmosphere. These fine particles can remain suspended high above the surface, bending and scattering sunlight in ways that turn the sky from blue to orange to blood red. This isn't theoretical. In 1816, the eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia created what became known as the year without a summer. The ash that circled the globe caused widespread temperature drops, crop failures, and yes, blood-red sunsets so dramatic that painters and poets immortalized them in their work. More recently, wildfires in California, Australia, and the Amazon have turned daylight into a haunting red glow, creating skies that feel apocalyptic to those living beneath them. As climate change intensifies, these mega fires are not just likely, they're inevitable. And then there's the bigger picture. Earth's climate system, pushed to its limits by decades of industrial activity, deforestation, and carbon overload. Extreme weather events, massive dust storms, dry lightning, polar vortex shifts are no longer anomalies, they're patterns. With each passing year, the climate becomes more chaotic, and with chaos comes unpredictability. These weather phenomena don't just disrupt ecosystems, they alter how we see the sky. Dust particles carried from deserts across continents, combined with smoke from distant fires and pollution from urban centers, can create skies that glow red during sunrise and sunset, or even throughout the day in extreme cases. What once felt rare is slowly becoming the new normal. In this light, Baba Vanga's red sky prophecy might not be metaphor at all. It could be a stark, terrifying glimpse into the very real consequences of our planet in crisis. Whether the result of solar activity, volcanic fury, or atmospheric collapse, the sky has bled before, and it can bleed again. 2. Human-made catastrophes. While nature has always held the power to alter our skies in breathtaking and terrifying ways, perhaps the greatest threat to the heavens above isn't the earth below, but ourselves. If Baba Vanga's vision of a red sky was not a product of cosmic or natural forces, could it have been a glimpse into humanity's own self-destruction? One of the most sobering interpretations of the red sky prophecy points toward nuclear war. Unlike solar storms or volcanic eruptions, events we cannot control, this would be entirely man-made, a choice, a chain reaction of decisions fueled by fear, pride, politics, and power. The image of a bleeding sky aligns chillingly well with what scientists and historians predict would follow the use of nuclear weapons on a large scale. A single detonation unleashes an inferno that vaporizes everything within a radius. Multiple detonations across continents? That creates something far worse: a nuclear winter. In such a scenario, the atmosphere would be choked with radioactive dust, soot, and debris. These particulates, blasted high into the stratosphere, could encircle the globe and block sunlight for weeks, even months. Light, when it breaks through, would no longer be blue or golden. It would be red, distorted by particles that scatter shorter wavelengths and allow only the longest, deepest reds to pass through. The result? A sky that glows with an eerie, hellish tint, just as Baba Vanga described. And it wouldn't stop there. The environmental collapse would be swift and unforgiving. Temperatures would plummet, crops would fail, ecosystems would collapse, and billions could be thrust into famine, disease, and despair. All of it unfolding beneath a blood-stained sky, a constant visual reminder of the irreversible damage done by human hands. Even more disturbing is how close we've come. Throughout history, particularly during the Cold War, the world has teetered on the brink of nuclear catastrophe more than once. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the United States and the Soviet Union within minutes of mutual annihilation. In recent years, global tensions have once again flared. Modern arsenals are even more powerful. Political rhetoric grows increasingly aggressive, and rogue actors, unstable regimes, and technological mishaps have all become unpredictable variables in a very real equation. So when Baba Vanga spoke of fire in the sky and a trembling world, was she warning us not of fate, but of potential? A path we could still avoid if we chose differently? Was the red sky not destiny, but consequence? In this light, her prophecy becomes less about doom and more about accountability, a mirror held up to humanity's darkest impulses, asking us whether we will let our fears ignite the skies or whether we will pull back from the edge before the sky turns red. Not from a storm, but from our own hands. If you've watched up to this point, you're clearly someone who seeks deeper truths beyond the surface. Comment below with "Red Sky Awakening" to show you're ready to explore the mysteries behind Baba Vanga's 2025 prophecy. Don't click away. There's still more to uncover about what the red sky could truly mean for our future. Stay with us until the end to unlock insights that might just shift the way you see the world. 3. Ancient cultural beliefs. Long before the rise of satellites, weather forecasting, and modern science, Our ancestors looked to the sky not just for guidance, but for meaning. They believed the heavens were alive, a canvas on which gods, spirits, and fate painted signs. And among the most feared of all omens was the red sky. For thousands of years, across continents and civilizations, a crimson-tinted sky was never just a weather event. It was a message, a warning, a signal that something monumental was about to unfold. In ancient Rome, where symbolism and ritual permeated every corner of public life, a red sky was interpreted as a harbinger of death, specifically the death of an emperor. Historians recorded blood-colored sunsets and strange atmospheric signs in the days or weeks leading up to the demise of powerful rulers. The Roman elite would send priests and augurs to interpret the heavens, hoping to understand what wrath the gods might be preparing to unleash. To them, the sky did not lie. When it turned red, it meant the natural order was about to be broken, and that a seismic shift in power or punishment was imminent. Across the continent in ancient China, a red sky held equally powerful meaning. In Chinese cosmology, harmony between heaven, earth, and man was paramount. When the sky glowed red or exhibited strange colors, it was believed to reflect the displeasure of heaven itself. Dynasties fell not merely because of rebellion or weakness, but because they lost the mandate of heaven, the divine right to rule. A blood-red sky could signal that the emperor had failed his people and that heaven was preparing to intervene. Chroniclers documented these celestial signs as the beginnings of great floods, famines, or rebellions, always framed as divine justice taking shape in the sky before descending to earth. Among indigenous cultures across the Americas, particularly those with strong oral traditions and cosmological worldviews, the sky was considered sacred, a spiritual dome that reflected human actions and the will of ancestral forces. A burning or blood-colored sky was not only a sign of danger, but of transformation. The Hopi, Navajo, Maya, and many other tribes held stories of the sky changing color at key moments in history, times when worlds ended and began again, when great shifts in consciousness or balance occurred. To these communities, a red sky wasn't just an omen of destruction. It was a call to awaken, to adapt, and to prepare for a new era. These deeply rooted beliefs didn't fade with time, they evolved. Even in today's world, people instinctively feel that something is wrong when the sky looks off. A red hue, especially one that stretches unnaturally across the horizon, triggers an ancient fear buried in our collective psyche. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to our ancestral memory, a memory that whispers, "This is not normal. This means something." So when Baba Vanga warned of a sky that would bleed, she was not speaking into a void. Her vision tapped into a symbolic language that humanity has known for millennia. It's as if she was aligning her prophecy not just with the future, but with the ancient warnings of those who came before us. Perhaps the red sky is not a new sign, but a recurring one, reappearing at turning points in human history, just before the world changes forever. 4. Cosmic or supernatural events. Beyond the natural disasters and man-made catastrophes, beyond even ancient cultural symbolism, lies a deeper, more mysterious realm. A space where the red sky prophecy transcends what we can see, measure, or control. In this final and most unsettling category, two bold interpretations emerge, one rooted in the stars and the other in the human soul. One of the more controversial, yet increasingly discussed interpretations is that the red sky may not be earthly at all. In recent years, governments around the world, particularly the United States, have begun disclosing information about unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, formerly dismissed as science fiction. Declassified footage, whistleblower testimonies, and statements from high-ranking military officials have shifted the conversation from if aliens exist to when contact might occur. This global shift in disclosure has only added fuel to a theory long embraced by ancient astronaut theorists, that what people once called gods or chariots of fire in the sky were actually visitations from other worlds. In this light, Baba Vanga's red sky prophecy takes on a new form. A sky that bleeds could represent a rupture, a tearing of the dimensional fabric that separates our world from another. Could this red veil be a sign of entry, an arrival, a mass sighting that forever changes how we understand our place in the universe? Some believers argue that the color red may not symbolize destruction, but energy, an energetic shift, a moment when Earth and something other intersect, and that fire overhead, it may not be war but craft, objects not made by human hands, descending or revealing themselves on a global scale. For those who follow this theory, the prophecy is not a warning of doom, but of disclosure, a cosmic event that rewrites our understanding of history, origin, and destiny. Then there is the most symbolic, but perhaps most intimate interpretation of all. What if the red sky isn't external at all? What if it's not fire from above, but a reflection of fire within? Some philosophers and spiritual thinkers argue that Baba Vanga's visions often pointed beyond the physical world. She spoke in riddles because truth, at its deepest level, isn't always literal. It's energetic, emotional, and collective. From this perspective, the bleeding sky could symbolize a global psychic rupture, a point at which human consciousness itself begins to fracture. Look around. Humanity is in psychological crisis. Depression, anxiety, loneliness, political extremism, spiritual disconnection, all are climbing to unprecedented levels. Our attention spans are shrinking, our trust in one another eroding, and our sense of meaning growing ever more fragile. Social media amplifies our fears, economic systems strain, the climate shifts, the collective psyche trembles. In this view, the red sky is not weather, it is warning. A mirror held up to a planet spinning faster than our spirits can handle. It is the result of everything we have ignored, our inner chaos spilling outward, tinting reality itself with anxiety, fear, and disillusionment. And in that blood-red sky, we're not seeing destruction, we're seeing ourselves. But there is hope in this interpretation too, because if the sky is a reflection of our state of mind, then perhaps changing our collective consciousness can change the sky. If the red is symbolic of collapse, maybe it's also symbolic of rebirth, transformation, a turning point not just for the planet, but for the human soul. Whether we look to the stars or within our own hearts, Baba Vanga's prophecy invites us to ask, what is the true source of the fire in the sky? Is it cosmic, technological, emotional, or all three, converging in a moment we are only beginning to understand? In either case, the red sky is not just something to fear, it is something to interpret, to question, and perhaps, if we are ready, to answer. 5. Symbolic interpretation. What if the red sky prophecy was never meant to be taken literally? What if the sky Baba Vanga spoke of, bleeding, burning, trembling, was not the sky above our heads, but the one within our minds and spirits. Many philosophers, spiritual thinkers, and modern psychologists are beginning to interpret ancient prophecies not just as warnings of physical events, but as metaphors for collective emotional and psychological realities. In this view, Baba Vanga's vision of a red sky could be a powerful symbol, one that speaks to a civilization on the verge of mental and spiritual collapse. Look around. The signs are not in the clouds, but in the statistics. Rates of depression, anxiety, suicide, and social isolation have reached unprecedented levels across the globe. Political division is no longer just ideological, it's emotional, tribal, and at times violently personal. The world is not just divided by borders, but by truth itself, as millions live in alternate realities shaped by media, algorithms, and fear. Our skies, quite literally, may still be blue, but the atmosphere of our inner world is bleeding. Social media, once celebrated as a tool for connection, has become a breeding ground for comparison, outrage, and despair. Economic pressure crushes the young and the aging alike. Climate dread hovers like a shadow over future generations. And amid all of this, many people feel more alone, more lost, and more disconnected than ever before. If prophecy is a mirror, then perhaps Baba Vanga was showing us what our souls would one day reflect. In this symbolic lens, the red sky is the warning sign of collective spiritual suffocation, a humanity no longer aligned with meaning, purpose, or compassion. It's not the earth that's cracking, it's us. And if we are to believe this interpretation, then the fire she foresaw overhead is not destruction from above, but a collapse from within. But this symbolic reading also offers something the literal ones often do not: hope. Because if the bleeding sky is a reflection of our inner disarray, then it also means we have the power to change it, not through bunkers or survival kits, but through inner healing. The solution isn't fear, it's reconnection. Reconnect with nature, which calms the nervous system and reminds us of life's cycles. Reconnect with people, especially those we love or have lost touch with, because isolation feeds chaos. And most of all, reconnect with meaning. That can be spiritual, it can be creative, it can be service to others, but it must go beyond distraction, beyond fear, and into something deeper. Baba Vanga once said, "The future belongs to those who know how to listen." Maybe that listening isn't to the stars or storms, but to the quiet truth rising within us, warning that we're drifting too far from ourselves. The red sky in this sense is not the end. It's a chance, a mirror held up to a humanity in crisis, offering one last opportunity to pause, reflect, and shift course before it's too late. Still watching? That means you're not afraid to question the unknown. Comment "I see the signs" below if you're open to understanding what Baba Vanga may have truly seen coming. The red sky might be more than a symbol. It could be a message for all of us. Stick around to find out what it could mean for your life and the world. Number 4. Why is 2025 so important? There's something deeply unsettling about the convergence of global events pointing to the year 2025. Even without invoking Baba Vanga's haunting prophecy of a red sky, yet her vision seems to echo louder when we examine what scientists, economists, and other experts are already warning us about. Financial analysts are ringing the alarm bells, forecasting a potential economic collapse that could dwarf previous recessions. Inflation, job insecurity, and widening inequality are already creating a fragile landscape, and the systems we rely on may be stretched to their limits. At the same time, political tensions are reaching boiling points. Across the world, we see fractures not only between nations but also within societies, where citizens feel increasingly disconnected, unheard, and uncertain about the future. This isn't just about wars or diplomacy. It's about the growing distance between people, fueled by fear, mistrust, and pressure of survival in a rapidly changing world. And while humanity struggles to find balance, the natural world is speaking, some would say shouting. Astronomers have flagged 2025 as a period of intense solar activity, which could disrupt communication systems, satellite networks, and even power grids. These solar storms may seem distant or abstract, but in our digitally dependent world, their impact could ripple through every aspect of our daily lives, from banking to healthcare to transportation. Meanwhile, geologists caution that several major fault lines, including some near densely populated cities, are overdue for powerful earthquakes. These are not wild theories but scientific observations built on years of data, and they point toward the possibility of abrupt, life-altering events. Then comes the voice of the climate itself, undeniable and urgent. Climate scientists agree that we are rapidly approaching critical tipping points. Glaciers are melting faster, oceans are warming, and extreme weather patterns are no longer anomalies, they are the new normal. The year 2025 may represent a line in the sand. Beyond it, the damage we've done to the planet could become irreversible, setting off a chain reaction of ecological and social collapse. In this context, Baba Vanga's prophecy begins to feel less like mystical fiction and more like a reflection of everything we already know, but perhaps choose not to face directly. Through her lens, the idea of a red sky might symbolize more than just an ominous visual. It could reflect a warning of spiritual, environmental, and societal unrest that humanity must reckon with. And while these predictions can feel overwhelming, we are not powerless. In Buddhism, we are reminded that suffering arises from attachment, ignorance, and disconnection. The remedy is mindfulness, compassionate action, and the wisdom to live in harmony with each other and the earth. So, as we approach 2025, this is a moment not just for fear, but for awakening. A call to realign our values, reconnect with nature, and support each other as one human family. Let the challenges ahead serve as a reminder of what truly matters: kindness, cooperation, and care for all living beings. Instead of being paralyzed by prophecy, we can choose to be moved by it, not into panic, but into purpose. Number 5. The final message. Baba Vanga's final message isn't a chilling decree of doom, but a wake-up call, echoing through the fabric of our time. A call to see the red sky not as a sign of inevitable destruction, but as a reflection of who we are becoming. The red sky, she predicted, whether it symbolizes cosmic disturbance, earthly crisis, or inner turmoil, is not fate etched in stone, but a living mirror held up to our collective choices, our consciousness, and our way of life. In her silence and blindness, she saw what many of us with sight fail to perceive, that we shape the future not by what we stockpile, but by how we think, how we love, and how we live. And so, rather than panic at the possibility of skies aflame, we are invited to pause and look inward, asking not what will happen, but who am I becoming in the face of it all? As the Buddha wisely taught, All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. This prophecy is not a sentence, it is a mirror to our minds and hearts. In today's world, where urgency is a currency and news cycles chase fear, many have rushed to prepare physically, stocking food, building shelters, buying gear. But what if the real preparation isn't in what we can hold in our hands, but in what we carry in our hearts? The most enduring shield we can forge is not made of concrete or canned goods, but of emotional resilience and spiritual clarity. A person at peace within is far stronger in a storm than one surrounded by supplies but shaken by fear. As Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh once said, the most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. When mindfulness embraces those we love, they will bloom like flowers. When chaos surrounds us, it is stillness within that becomes our anchor. So, let this be the moment where we shift from reacting to reconnecting, not just with our survival instincts, but with what gives life depth and grace. And this reconnection begins with the earth. In a world tangled in screens and constant noise, we forget the quiet wisdom of nature. The earth doesn't speak in headlines, it whispers in rustling leaves, in the rhythm of waves, in the warmth of sunlight on your skin. Go outside, let your bare feet meet the ground. Look at the sky, not as a threat, but as a canvas of wonder. Even if one day it glows red, may we gaze upon it with reverence, not dread. Nature has always been our original teacher, reminding us that everything moves in cycles. Destruction, yes, but always followed by renewal. Just as spring follows winter, healing follows harm. This is echoed in the Dhammapada. As a bee gathering nectar does not harm or disturb the color and fragrance of the flower, so do the wise move through the world. We must live gently, grounded, and grateful. Equally essential is our reconnection with each other. In uncertain times, it won't be the stored goods in your basement that sustain you. It will be the love in your home. The people around you are not part of the background. They are the soul of your survival. A shared silence, a forgiving hug, an honest conversation, these are the treasures that cannot be bought or replaced. If the world trembles, it is not walls but relationships that hold us steady. Ask yourself, who have you forgiven lately? Who have you truly listened to? The red sky prophecy may or may not arrive, but love, expressed and lived, remains the most reliable sanctuary. As the Dalai Lama reminds us, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. And finally, we must reconnect with meaning. In a time when truth often feels lost in noise, it is more vital than ever to return to the quiet truths that speak directly to the soul. Read, not just to know, but to understand. Sit not just to rest, but to reflect. Ask deeper questions, not for answers, but for clarity. Why are we here? What is worthy of our protection? How can we live not just longer, but better? Baba Vanga didn't give us a blueprint, she gave us a compass. Her words weren't maps, but markers, pointing us toward inner awareness and collective responsibility. Her haunting reminder that the future belongs to those who know how to listen is not just poetic, it's prophetic. Listening, truly listening, means tuning in beyond noise, beyond fear, to the messages rising quietly from within and around us. So, as you carry this prophecy in your heart, do so not in fear, but in heightened awareness. Don't let it drive you into hiding. Let it guide you into deeper presence. Ask yourself each day, what am I really listening to? The news, the panic, or the still small voice within that longs to lead you toward compassion, wisdom, and peace? For in the end, the sky may or may not change color, but your life, your mind, and your spirit always can. And perhaps in doing so, we change the future itself. As Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's there are few. Let us be beginners once more, curious, awake, and open to the better future we still have the power to create." Thank you for joining us on this deep exploration of the shocking truth about Baba Vanga's Red Sky prophecy in 2025. Whether you see it as a literal warning, a symbolic message, or a mirror reflecting our inner and outer world, the red sky challenges us to pause, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. If this journey sparks something in you, curiosity, contemplation, or even compassion, please support the journey of wisdom by liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss the powerful stories and insights we have coming next. Until then, may you walk gently, live mindfully, and listen deeply. The sky may change, but so can we.